co-pilot. Okay. Okay. Okay, we are ready.
Great. Hi, Dr. Mark here for Natural Health. Hope you're having a great day. It was a great Monday and you came off a really nice weekend. Hope you have a great weekend too. This is our last health because we get busy sometimes and it seems to push us back. So we're just going to start doing it at 6:15. Next week, we will not have a health shop because that's Memorial Day. So we'll miss next week. So this week though, of course, we're here and give some general things. In the office, when people come into the office, we look at very specific things for that purpose, that person, but to realize that any of these symptoms really are individual expressions of something gone wrong in there. And so some people may have anxiety, depression, some people may have diabetes, it depends on the genetics of what problems people have, but to realize these things, these symptoms and things are red lights from the dashboard of the car blinking, something's going on in there. And rather than using black tape to cover it up like with medication, and many of the people who are diagnosed with anxiety depression have lots of heavy medication, we try to figure out the underlying cause of it. You know, why is that showing up? What's going on in there? So I'm going to go over a few things kind of quickly that we see often in the office here when it goes along with anxiety and depression. And so we'll kind of get into that. Just some housekeeping things. Of course, we've been here now for 40 years. Here at Natural Health doing nutrition and chiropractic. And so the thing about chiropractic, and people don't realize that, is one of the good things is we can't prescribe medications. Now, we may think that as a hindrance, but for us, it's a positive because we have to figure out other ways to help the body rather than relying on heavy medications or chemicals. So we figure out other ways, and we think are better ways. And again, there are needs for medications and things for short term, but long term, these things cause a lot of trouble, a lot of side effects, especially when it comes to anxiety and depression. The psychologically interfering medications are very hard on the body, and the body becomes very addicted to them. And it's even really harder to get off of those, and even like blood pressure medications are some of the ones like that. So we try to keep people away from medications. And you have to, but let's find the cause and then get off of those. So let's go to a couple of those. Of course, I'm Dr. Mark here, and again, been here for quite a long time. So again, anxiety, depression is just, we look at that kind of as an emotional thing, but really it's a biochemical thing that leads to that feeling. People just are stressed. That's probably one of the big things. And what is the stress? It doesn't have to be that you're stressed at work. It can be just basically the environment. It can even be hot and cold too much. Your body just can't handle that stress, and then you become, just fatigued. That's the depression, or you become over anxious or over excited, and that's the anxiety. So it's just kind of things where that system is not working right. We want to try to figure out what the cause of that is, and help the body to handle stress. You should be able to, when you get stressed for whatever reason, whether it's a bad phone call or just anything in your environment that causes stress, your body should be able to go, it's not something we want to do, but that's what it is. We have to handle it. So let's just get her done. Rather than, going, oh my God, it's awful, and going into a huge anxiety thing or getting real, feel like it's something that's only on you and the depression. So that's just, anxiety, depression is just the body not keeping its energy systems working correctly. So there's, organs and things that work with that. And of course, in our world, has a lot to do with the gut because, in the gut, if you've ever heard of the GAPS information, GAPS diet, gastrointestinal psychological syndrome, has a lot to do with what you eat, what's absorbed in the body, and those kind of things. So a good example of that is if you're a carboholic, you eat a lot of refined carbs, you're going to burn your body out of B vitamins. And B vitamins are the things the body uses to help to keep this energy brain system working correctly. So we find that very common. People that are eating a lot of carbs, refined carbs especially, and the processed stuff, they really get behind on the B vitamins, and then they can't, their bodies just can't control the nervous system. So I think Dr. Trips will talk a lot more about the autonomic nervous system, but the parasympathetic part of that has to do with getting the body to be able to calm itself down. So we use a lot of what we call Cataplex G, which is a B vitamin complex that helps the parasympathetic system, the system that helps you to relax and to calm down. And so that's a really important one to get a hold of. But again, the gut is where this has to happen, has to be absorbed. And even the probiotics in the gut is what helps to digest things to the point that you can absorb these B vitamins or other vitamins and other minerals. So the gut's very important. Now, when you go to the MD and he gives you a prescription to handle the symptoms of anxiety, they have nothing to do with the gut. I mean, there's no looking at the cause of what's going on in there. So, that's why what's different about natural health is we're looking at the underlying cause of that problem. So, if we find people that will come into us and go, I've got all these problems and I'm eating really well, and you get into a diet and they actually are eating pretty well, but are they digesting and absorbing any of it? That becomes a big issue. And even people that are coming in taking lots of vitamins and minerals and things, well, some of those aren't very good, but they're never asking the question, is their body absorbing anything or is it digesting anything? The weird thing about the digestive system is that it absorbs carbohydrates very easily. That's easily broken down, those sugars are very easily broken down with some simple enzymes. But the heavier things, like even good vegetables, proteins, the good fats, the good oils are much harder to break down. And so if the gut is all messed up, if the gut lining is all irritated, which we find in leaky gut syndrome, then you're not going to absorb the good stuff. And even if you're trying to eat right, it won't get in there. Another big problem that even the medical people have, but most people feel the same way, that whatever you put in your mouth is going to go where it's supposed to go. And that's definitely not the truth. So when we're dealing with these mineral vitamin deficiencies, like what's in anxiety and depression, then we have to figure out what the cause of that is. Why isn't there that nutrition in the body that the body can utilize? And is it coming from the lack of the diet, or the digestive ability, or too many toxins, or the liver's just messed up? There's just all kind of reasons that will lead to the symptoms of anxiety and depression. So that gives you a kind of a quick little overview. Again, eating the good foods is so important, especially the good oils for the brain function, the hormone function, and especially since this month we're talking about women's health, hormones are so important. So good food is so important, especially good oils and things. So that's probably enough for me tonight, just a quick overview. Dr. Chip will go into more details here, and then if you have any questions, you can always come in. We have a free consultation if you've never been to our office before. Otherwise, you can call the office. We're happy to talk to people. But when people call in and go, well, I've got anxiety and depression, how can you help me, or can you help me today? Well, it's not that easy. Again, we're looking at the underlying cause, which may have taken 5, 10, 15, 20 years to get there. So we want to do a good job of finding out the cause and then treating that over time to get the body to heal up. So that's enough for me. I'll let Dr. Chip take over, and have a great evening. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Dr. Chip here. So good information there. Again, relating to the gut, how it all works with anxiety and depression. And like Dr. Mark explained there too, just there's different ways to see things. And so again, just kind of starting this off is that, again, we're always trying to figure out what's going on based on ideas that we have already. And so a lot of times too is when we talk about anxiety or depression, we think that's more of a condition, more of something that you kind of caught, or you kind of got into as life goes on here. But a lot of times is that why we think that is that because we think it's a sickness or an illness. And again, just another way of thinking about things. But just to change our perspective a little bit, you can kind of see here too, very common abstract art or anything like that. So you can see that if you look at the black color there too, you can see the vase, the chalice there. And then if you turn your perspective or attention on the white space here, you can see two faces. And so again, just an illustration of seeing things differently. And so you can say is that with anxiety and depression, it's not so much that we caught something or we got something or acquired something. it's more of that our brain and body got unbalanced enough to where now we are feeling something or we're sensing something different. And so just like when you're kind of unbalanced or when something like the thermostat, the temperature, your body is kind of more like that thermostat. It wants to balance itself out. And so when you have the temperature set at a certain level, when you go into the house, you're always going to feel a good way there. But say if that thermostat got broken, then it wouldn't be able to balance out. And you could either go from high swings of heat or high swings of cold. And so like anxiety and depression, if you're not able to regulate more of the time, you're going to start swinging from one side to the other. And again, it could be anxiety or depression. And so, again, when our brain is balanced and our body is balanced, then again, we can start feeling more balanced and normal to where we feel more at ease, more relaxed, more calm. And again, there's different modes of doing that. And so again, we see the brain and we talk about the nervous system and how, again, that's kind of controlling and coordinating a lot of things. And typically we think of the brain. But like we said there too, is that the gut has a very big impact on that. But again, just throughout your whole body has a lot of nerves, neurons, nerve flow to different areas. There are the fingers, toes, everything, the organs, all that. And so different things throughout the body. So again, the brain is a powerful place. But there's different nervous, you would say, plexuses or systems, and there's bundles of nerves in the body that actually are, you would say, helping to determine how our body is feeling at that moment there too. And so we don't want to always just make it so that, again, anxiety, depression is always just a mental game. Again, it's really that our body could be playing a very big impact on that too. So again, just illustrating here too is that many things in our environment or in our body is actually affecting our mood or behavior, everything like that too. And so again, like Dr. Mark explained about the food, if we're not, you would say, supplying or getting good foods, if we're not able to digest properly, then again, we're not absorbing that food and we can start getting off, even chemically. So just like anything, with you would say the nervous system, or you would say our autonomic nervous system, sometimes when we're sensing things in the environment, our brain has to figure out what to do. And if there's a threat in the environment, it has to go into this mode about being able to fight or flee or hide or anything like that. And so again, it's kind of it kind of turns up state. It's kind of more of it brings in a lot of stress hormones to actually ramp up your body so that you're able to prepare to run or hide or flee or anything like that. But then too is that if our body is not able to get back in balance, then it's not going to be able to get back into a system or mode to help digest our foods, like Dr. Mark explained. And so when that happens, we're not able to absorb our nutrition or nutrients or the foods there too. And so many of the times when we get stuck in that state, then our body is saying it doesn't want to do the digesting now because there's something in the environment that is needing right now. So when that happens again, that's when it gets hard to, you would say, get back to digesting foods properly and all that too. So our gut is a big factor in that too. But like we just said, is that when our brain is perceiving different things in the environment, then it impacts our gut. And then our gut can impact our brain. So just for instance too, if you ate, a huge, you say chocolate cake or a big bowl of ice cream, and again, I'm not saying those are good or bad at certain times, but you'll notice that you start to have your blood sugar dip. And it's because it's a big sugary impact. And if your body wasn't able to do that, actually you could fall into a coma. And so our body is an amazing organism here that's able to digest and regulate everything there too. But that blood sugar, if it goes up or down like that, again, a big up from the sugar and then a big down, that's when we can start noticing some, you would say, anxiety, depression, tiredness, everything like that. And so we want to make sure that we're able to supply ourselves well so that we're able to, again, feel good and function well. And again, those things, sweets, desserts, all that, it's not altogether bad. It's just we can't go too much or too crazy, or that we have to know how our body's able to adapt to it. And again, adaptation is key. And so again, there are other things there too, is that we talk about how the gut and the brain are so impactful, and how our behavior and everything that's relating there too. But a lot of times too, is there's more studies on the heart, and the heart is more of, you would say, a nervous system itself. It actually has neurons in there too that, I can't forget, I'm kind of slipping on the word here, but there are neuronal factors of the heart that actually transmit messages from to the heart from the heart to the brain, and so on and so forth. And so a lot of times too is that when we can get into more of that relaxed state, more peaceful state, we can actually help ourselves to regulate better, again with our breathing, and even reaching for sometimes you would say states of positive emotions, such as like gratitude or appreciation. And again, just another way to help ourselves be able to regulate better. And so again, sometimes when we get into the habit of kind of reacting to our environment so much, that causes an unbalance. And again, when we do that too long, it can get us, you would say, out of balance so much that we start to notice issues in our body, such as symptoms of, again, anxiety, depression, all that too. So again, that's why, again, brain and heart are very good aspects to help us to recenter, to balance, and to maintain more, you would say, equilibrium of our nervous system there too. And so again, another way to think about it too is that when we start getting in our head so much about kind of the thinking processes of what's going on, the day-to-day, the busy lives, the nonstop, you'd say, stress in our environment, we tend to kind of stick on one side of the brain here. And that anxiety and depression is typically due to more of a, you'd say, depression being more of based on things in the past. And so the brain wants to figure out what's going on, and if it's not doing well, then it might have a depressive state to where it might feel like we should have done something different or anything like that. Anxiety can be more, you would say, more of the future. Again, the brain is having a hard time to think that this is an okay situation based on what it knows from the past. So again, it's kind of a repeating cycle there too. And so that's why when we want to make sure that we're in a balanced state, even when things that we haven't done or something that could be uncomfortable, at least being able to recognize that, hey, this state is not a life-threatening state. It's not something really to be feared. It's more of, it's just a fearful state. And that's okay, because many times that we don't do things, we're going to be in a fearful state anyway. Just like any skill that you picked up, any sports player knows that, or anybody that does public speaking. Again, those first times, like you have to actually do it for a while to build it up, and then to help help yourself realize that even though you do feel this fear, it's okay to step into it. And again, not all the time. It's like, say, like, if a bus was coming off the street, you don't want to just step into no. You know there's a bus coming, you want to take back. So again, there are those times that you have to actually see that, is this a fear that's justifiable, or is this a fear just based on you would say logical, rational thinking? And so the creative side there too, again, it's very helpful for balancing our brain and body. And so that's why the brain is actually built to be more of a reasoning and a creative organ. It's kind of more dual-sided. And so, like business-wise, again, it's good to have logic and reasoning to plan for the future, but for the creative side, we have to be able to think about new ideas, new things that would help the business to actually flow better. So again, we have to kind of use both sides, and when you use both sides, it actually helps our nervous system balance out well. So that's why it's always good when you work well, but then you gotta play too. You gotta be able to create things. You have to have hobbies, go on vacations, all that. That's kind of a good reason why that people get too carried on, and one thing can start to have health issues there too. So again, balance is very key. But I think that is probably it for the night. So yeah, so hopefully again you learned some good information Again, you can always follow us at Natural Health Quincy IL at Facebook, YouTube, Brighteon, and Instagram. Our email is naturalhealthquincy.com, or you can subscribe to our email list, of course. And then the number is 217-228-2040. We're located at 2000 Jefferson Street in Quincy, Illinois. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, this was a kind of a fun, actually, a talk with about, again, anxiety, depression. But like we said, just different ways to see the same thing. And so just me kind of even realizing that too, is that our brain and bodies are very powerful at what they do. But really, when we actually understand that more, when we're wanting to learn more about how it functions, learn more about ourselves, learn more about all that, we actually are able to see things differently, and seeing things differently helps us to actually have a better state of mind of how our health and well-being can actually work. So again, thank you so much for watching. We're getting close to wrapping up the Women's Health Month here. We will not have the HealthShop next week, so happy Memorial Day for everybody, and have a good rest of the week. So take care.